Okay, here's day 2 of this. I fiddled around with it quite a bit today. I went back with the 1N34As. So that's what I have there as far as the clipping diodes. And went with a 5.6 nanofarad capacitor. I just don't know about that section of the circuit too much. I got the guitar on, so we'll listen to it here in a minute. I changed out the 1US for the box films. So those are both 1US still. And as far as I know, that's the original resistor that's supposed to be in the circuit itself. 47 nanofarad there. Hooked up to batteries in series, going to the variable power supply. I got it at 9 volts. That's about as high as it's going to go because those 4 batteries are just so weak. But that's why I did that. I got those batteries right there that I can utilize and not have to go out and buy batteries. And a 12 volt regulator, I can dial it into whatever I want. So pretty cool there. Yeah, I just don't know about the 1.8K. I think the further I get away from that 1.5 area, it'd be interesting to put some sort of 2K pot right there. Maybe dial that in. And then that way you can just dial in what you want. Kind of like a bias. I took out the diode section. To me, it's not really doing anything. And once I put my green wire, which is that's the input to the pot right there, which is the volume pot. So I got that green wire leading from this capacitor, and then after that you're supposed to have all this circuitry, and then this is supposed to connect to that according to the schematic. Well, anyway, I found out yesterday if I just put the green wire right there, it got a better sound. So that was one of the changes. I did an A/B test yesterday, and I was really happy with it. And I was running it through my voltage regulator there. And then I decided, well, let's see what it sounds like with a battery. And I got all this howling noise, high-pitched oscillation, microphonic kind of sounds. And I've been digging into that, trying to figure out if I back off the volume, it works a little bit better, but I lose my gain. And again, if I was to have a 1 meg pot there, would that make a difference? So, I just don't have the right parts for what I'm trying to do at this point. And so this is a 250. It needs to be a 50K. It's too high, probably. That's reason the volume is just jacked. And right here, this needs to be a 1 meg according to the schematic. Really, this should be a 10K. So I got some mismatches here that are not quite up to par. But anyway, I wanted to kind of discuss this. I had the 1.5K, and it was hands down the better choice yesterday. So I put in a 1.8K today, tried it out, didn't like it. Tried the a 2K, didn't like it. So what I got in here right now is a 3K, and I may change. So what I'm planning on doing there is I'm going to get a trim pot, 5K trim pot, and I'll adjust it as I build this circuit. So it's still in the breadboard. I want to get my parts. And it's going to take a while to get that because of all the inclement weather we've been having and all that stuff. But I'll get my hands on all the stuff that I need as soon as I can. And so anyway, I just wanted to get a little rundown of what I accomplished today. Oh, one more thing. I've got currently a 1 UF capacitor in there. I've gone through my list of what I want. I know that's a 330. I don't know what all these greens are because they all look the same. I know the lowest thing I have is a 220. These are all nanofarads. So I'm going to do the same thing like I did in the Blue Monster. Get me a rotary switch. There it is, the mini rotary switch. Hook in some different capacitors and make some choices. So I think it's come down to this. Trying out some new resistors. Oh, there's just so many things you can do with this. I had 10K in there. I went back to the circuit, started digging into the information, and right after that capacitor is where, you know, I could do without diodes. So I wanted to get something done with diodes. I went and listened to a lot of different YouTube characteristics among the different channels, and where you can get the colorization of these different things going on is changing out capacitors and resistors. 12K kind of cleaned it up. It got rid of that whistling sound. So I'm going to record just so we could hear a little bit of this. So anyway, that's the 12K. I also played earlier a 5.1K, and I think I like that one quite a bit. So I'm going to put the 5.1 back in. I got the gain just a hair off of being open. Like I said, I've got the 134 1N34As right now, which are germanium diodes, and I'm getting really close to purchasing with a lot of stuff coming in so that I can really get into a lot of different circuits, not just this one. So I got on the table currently right now a whole bunch of capacitors that are going to go in the top section, let's just call it that. And then I'm choosing between, I've already settled on the 1.5K resistor, and I've swapped out the mini capacitors up there on the top section. And I'm going to be able to channel switch all those with this particular multi. That's got 8 capacitors that I could put on there. We call these low pass filters, high pass filters. That's really what's going on here. It's letting too much of the highs in. So it's all about tailoring this to the sound and being able to get the responsiveness of the notes. So I'm going to say 5.1K would be the cutoff at the high frequency. That sustain, man, that sustain goes on for days. It's almost like the fuzz pedal. This is my op amp distortion. It feeds back. That's what I'm looking for it to do. check out the volume. Is it going to, that might just be the one right there, 6.8. And another thing is, when it's in this circuit, I'll probably sockets. I'll put some sockets in there in those two places. So we might call the first one up top resistor 1. Might call the one down on the bottom resistor 2. All the other stuff stays the same. Won't want to mess with that. So on the breadboard, the top one I'm going to call resistor 1. On the bottom one I'm going to call resistor 2. So resistor 1 kind of set in stone. So I could put a socket right there, and then the one on the bottom that's leading out to the volume pot, that's resistor 2. And I'll put a socket right there just to kind of, really fine tune it the way that I want it. Just like I did the Blue Monster, this will be that same kind of experiment. And that's one other thing I was going to say. On the breadboard, you get those microphonic sounds. So now I bump that up to 7. There's 8. 8.5. 9.5. Full. That's 10. I think that's going to be the one. 6.8K right there in resistor 2 placement. All right, I made an error while I was talking about all this stuff. So I'm going to order some 1 nanos. Those chicken-looking things right there. Those are capacitors. And I'm going to make those 1 nanos. Right now they're 2.2 nanofarads. I want to get 1 nanofarads in this circuit. But I don't want to use the ones that look very cheap. I want this thing to last forever. Everything is up to par as far as what components I would use. That's let me get my little pointer again. That right there are my 1N34As, germanium diodes. I'm going to be looking into experimenting which ones I like the best. I said that was something else than what it is. That's a 10K. So it's a 10K. I think that's going to be really the answer to that. So they, again, I could put a socket right there. I could put a socket there. Once I get it on perf board, then I would know something about whether the microphonic stuff would disappear or not. So the way it works, what we got now is a way to switch from each capacitor that you see there. There's 6 capacitors. So that one that was down in there next to resistor 1, as I call it, it is now going and feeding to all those. So I just wanted to kind of get a layout on how I wanted these capacitors to operate. All of those and tie them together. And that's what you see there. So that's going to be the project whenever I get to it. And I will also have a rotary switch. And I'm going to be able to select which capacitor I want to engage. See there, I marked this. You can get in there, you can kind of see that there's a black marking right there. Well, that's number 1. And so what it will do, I'm about to lose it now, is I can be able to channel or switch, whatever capacitor I want there. Lots of things to talk about. Let's see, we got, the usual You just scan about, you can see how it all, that's my power supply going into the circuit. Did some reading tonight and looked up how to change the gain on this op amp. So if you notice, the resistor is missing. Well, where I have those resistors is this. I've got two choices now. And one is the left side here. I don't know if the camera will be backwards, but anyway, I'll have to fix that when I get these videos going. The one that we see right there on the left is a 1 meg. The one on the right is a 2.2 meg. Shootout. I'm just gonna add these two resistors. And I just got through adding a way to switch that. So I've got a switch that I can AB those two resistors. And here you see a whole bunch of capacitors. And I've added 2 more capacitors today. Going from treble, I guess, frequency-wise, to bass. And it's going to be done with a rotary switch here. I can have 8 different capacitors to choose from. So this thing's going to be pretty versatile. Sensitive this thing is. You know, you just barely touch it. There's a lot going on with the microphonics. And once I get it on the perf board, I think a lot of this stuff will clean up. Waiting on my order. A 1 meg pot that will go there. And as far as my volume, that'll probably either be a 50K pot or 10K pot. Hopefully they'll get them all right so that I've got the right parts. I don't have to go through all that. But, and I'm thinking about making this some sort of foot switch. It was not working the way it should. That's the reason that one's out of the pedal. And but I may just find a way to at least use it in that regard, to be able to step on it, to have either resistor, and the 2.2 meg gives me the high gain. Now what I'll do is I'll engage the high gain now. Turn that volume up a little bit more on the amp. So there it is. That is the 1 meg that you're listening to right there. Turn that on, there's the 2.2 meg. That's sustain. Back to the 1 meg. going to be able to get some high gain without having to build some extra circuitry. And I could go with this. I may explore more, I don't know. But anyway, everything's on a breadboard at this point, these two breadboards. And just wanted to get a demo of all the different capacitors so I could go back and listen to them, see if I hear any differences. Is it overkill? I don't know. It might be. But the point is, I do have 8 capacitors to choose from and 2 resistors to choose from in the gain state of the op amp. And this LM741 is what I'm using. Based on the MXR Distortion Plus. And so it's a souped up MXR Distortion Plus right now. And I just got through hearing a snippet of the brand new pedal. They beat me to it. And it's a high gain. But you know, if you're playing step on that pedal, the only thing you can really use that thing for would be the Eddie Van Halen. I want something that's going to be a little more versatile with all the different friendlier sounds. So I want to be able to overdrive. I want to have that high gain if I need it. I need a more versatile pedal. On all these, first capacitor, same capacitor, third capacitor, you can hear that bass kicking in. And there's the last one. Alright, there's the 560. There's the 277, or 330, excuse me. There's the 277. So, you know, really choosing which capacitor you think is going to be that frequency of all amps.